Stop staying that fence or you're going to jail. Yeah, those were the first words out of my HOA president's mouth that morning, and if you'd told me 4 minutes later she'd regret every syllable, I'd have laughed in your face. But here's how a stupid fence, some mint green paint, and a phone call to 911 blew up years of secrets and brought down an entire corrupt operation all before I'd finished my first cup of coffee. The sun was just coming up, throwing this buttery light across my little workshop out back, and there I was, stirring up a bucket of mint green, Sarah's favorite shade, God rest her soul. She used to say it's like spring decided to stay forever, and 6 months after losing her, I finally had the guts to make our old fence look like something she'd smile at again. I wasn't even halfway done when I heard that god-awful clicking on the sidewalk heels moving way too fast for 7:30 in the morning. Carol, our infamous HOA president, came marching up, her poor assistant dragging an umbrella behind her for the imaginary rain. She had her phone in hand already recording, and her voice cut through the air like a bad jingle you can't forget. Stop right there. That's H2 3138, not H2 847. You're violating Regulation 7.3.2. I set my brush down, heart pounding but trying to play it cool. Carol, it's just a little lighter. Nobody'll notice. She cut me off with this shark's grin. Rules are rules, Caleb. I remember you. Well, you got that park bench contract last year, didn't you? My stomach twisted, but I kept my tone calm. That was a fair bid, Carol. Selection committee chose on quality price, but her face changed meaner than usual, and for a second I got a chill. Fair. Your wife was on the committee. Not that it matters anymore. Some people just can't handle pressure. Yeah. She went there. 6 months after Sarah died, she went there. I swallowed hard, refusing to give her the fight she wanted. Truth is that city contract one tiny public project was nothing, except apparently to Carol. Right then, Jake, the 22-year-old YouTuber next door, leaned over his balcony, filming everything. Yo, Karen's harassing the widower again. Carol whirled around, tried to order him off, but Jake just laughed. Already fined me, $200 for my doorbell camera. Karen, this is public record. Now, Jake had made it his mission to record every HOA train wreck, and his videos got just enough traction online to turn our neighborhood into a local legend for all the wrong reasons. Mrs. Mitchell, watering her already soaked roses, caught my eye and mouthed, "Be careful." Then she whispered, "Linda tried to fight her too, now she won't talk to anyone." Before I could ask more, Gary, the HOA vice president and Carol's attack dog, strutted over doing his best tough guy act. "Maybe my construction company should inspect your house, Caleb. Might find some violations. Would be a shame." I looked him dead in the eye. "Is that a threat, Gary?" He just puffed up, glancing to Carol for approval. She slammed a violation notice in my hand, $100 a day fine, until I repainted with the approved color 48 hours to comply. As they left, Carol tossed one last grenade. "I hope your permits are in order for that workshop of yours. Wouldn't want anyone reporting you to the city." And just like that, my morning was ruined. Jake called down, "Bro, this isn't about paint, it's personal." And standing there, paint dripping on the grass, I remembered Sarah's advice. When someone overreacts to small things, they're hiding something bigger. The next 3 days, I prepped for the HOA meeting like it was trial, 47 pages of documentation, 3 expert opinions, every state law about paint colors you could imagine. Sarah always said, if they bring a knife, you bring a spreadsheet. God, I missed her laugh. The night of the meeting, the community center was packed. Jake's video had blown up 10,000 people streaming HOA drama live, and at least 150 neighbors jammed inside, way more than the usual sleepy crowd. Carol's face went beet red as she slammed her gavel and shrieked, "First item, paint violation." I stood ready to explain, but she cut my mic, just shut it off like I was a kid at the dinner table. "Irrelevant," she barked. I tried to shout over state law, "Supersedes HOA bylaws, page 12 of my security," she yelled, even though there wasn't any. The crowd murmured, and in the back, I noticed Linda, the former treasurer, physically flinch at the mention of financial transparency. Carol's eyes flashed poison at her, and next thing I knew, Linda grabbed her purse and nearly ran out. Then the stories started coming. $300 fine for a bird feeder, one old guy said, his voice shaking. $1 and $1,000 for Christmas lights, a mom added. I had to pick between paying the fine or my daughter's birthday. Carol lashed back, threatening $5,000 for Mrs. Mitchell's vegetable garden. But the room had shifted. Jake's chat was exploding. People donating to my legal fund shouting for FBI demanding justice. Carol tried to up my fine to $500 a day. Just 3 hands went up Carol, Gary, and their mystery friend. The crowd booed. Someone threw a wadded-up paper at the board, and for the first time I saw real panic in Carol's eyes. Gary leaned over and hissed, "My company checked your roof. Structural problems expensive to fix." I stared at him. "You trespassed?" He backpedaled. "Just visual inspection from the street with binoculars." Even Jake caught it on camera. It was chaos, shouting calls for open books. Why Linda ran? Where's the money? How did Carol get away with it? That night, sleep was a joke. By sunrise, I was out in the yard with my coffee, just looking at the half-painted fence. I saw Carol's curtain twitch. She was watching her hair in curlers, face twisted with rage. I hadn't even picked up a paintbrush when she screamed into her phone, "Police, there's a dangerous man destroying property. He might be armed." I looked at my coffee cup and almost laughed. I started filming for my own protection. It's 6:01 a.m. I'm 3 feet from my fence, not touching anything. Carol just called 911. As I panned my phone, something about her fence jumped out: vinyl, not wood, and much taller than regulation. HOA rules said 6 feet max. This was 8 easy. But it gets better. I zoomed in on a shiny metal plate, CNG Construction. I Googled it, heart-pounding, and found out CNG Construction was run by Gary, the same Gary, Carol's right-hand man. Even better, 5 HOAs, all run by Carol, all exclusively contracted with Gary's company. That's not just a conflict of interest, that's a conspiracy. The cops showed up looking more tired than angry and watched my footage. Jake was live streaming the whole thing. "Ma'am, he's drinking coffee on his own property," the female officer said, clearly annoyed. Carol doubled down, but the second officer watching Jake's stream just shook his head. "Ma'am, it looks like you're the one harassing him. Filing false reports is a crime." Carol started screaming she'd ruin me, destroy my life. Jake caught the whole thing. 2 million people saw it before lunch. The comments flew in: "Check their finances. Call the FBI. This is a scam." That day I requested the HOA's financial records 3 times. Each time Carol denied me for some ridiculous reason. Then code enforcement showed up, anonymous complaint about my workshop. 2 part-time employees lost their jobs that morning. One had a sick kid, and I gave him my last bit of savings just so he could make it through. I was angry. So I stormed. The HOA office demanded the records. Carol called security. Gary hissed, "You should have taken the deal. 30% would have been cheaper." Jake filmed as I got tossed out. But people weren't just watching, they were rallying. Jake's followers raised $30,000 for my workshop in 6 hours. And Linda, the ex-treasurer, finally agreed to talk. She met me in a dingy coffee shop, hands trembling. Carol threatened my daughter, she said, eyes brimming with tears. "But your wife..." "Sarah helped me once and I owe her." Linda slid over a USB drive, records going back 5 years showing $240,000 missing from our HOA alone, $73,000 for a garden that never existed. She'd already called the FBI. With Linda's evidence, I called for an emergency review. State law said we could. Carol tried to block it every way, but the neighbors had found their voices. The night of the meeting, Linda walked in with a box of documents. She laid out every receipt, every fake invoice. Photos of Carol's community garden that was really her backyard pool. Handwriting that matched across every signature, even an email about offshore accounts. The room erupted, shouting, crying neighbors, hugging Jake's chat going wild. And then real sirens. Black SUVs, FBI agents swarming the building. Carol arrested on wire fraud, money laundering, racketeering. Gary folded instantly, spilling everything. Over $1 million stolen, 5 HOAs, shell companies, dozens of people in on it. The lead agent thanked us, said we'd blown the case wide open, Operation Fencegate. The aftermath: Carol got 15 years, Gary 5, restitution for every neighbor. The HOA dissolved, replaced by a community association with transparency, live-streamed meetings, and a new rule: paint your house any color you want. My fence became a neighborhood landmark. Every panel a different color, freedom in Technicolor. Jake's channel went viral. Linda got a job with the FBI investigating HOA fraud. Mrs. Mitchell became president, and my workshop thrived like never before. We'd gone from scared silence to a community that laughs together, fights for each other, and doesn't let anyone push us around. All because of a can of paint and 4 minutes that changed everything. So was I crazy for fighting back or just crazy enough to make a difference? Let me know below and tell me, what would you have done if it were your fence, your family, your story? Justice or overreaction? The comment section's yours.